Hello everyone, welcome to another travel tutorial video. In this video I'm going to answer the big questions. How long should I spend in Iceland? How can I fit it all in? Where are the best places to go? How do you pronounce some of these places? I'm going to share with you our 5-day Iceland itinerary, which will give you a reasonable understanding of how much time you should spend there. I should start by saying yes, Iceland can be done in 5 days. Granted, we didn't go everywhere, we still had plenty of time to go to all the places we were hoping to go, and even more. We went to Reykjavik, the Golden Circle, the whole south coast, and we still had time for spontaneous adventures. So don't worry, 5 days is the perfect amount of time to budget for your Iceland trip. You won't feel overwhelmed or rushed to see everything in that amount of time. Even if you plan on going for shorter or longer than 5 days, this video is meant to give you an idea of how to time manage your Iceland travel plans. So let's break it down day by day. Day 1. We arrived really early in the morning to the airport and went straight for the car rental place. The first day was all about adjusting to Iceland, getting used to the time zone, and exploring downtown Reykjavik. We chose to spend our first 2 nights in Reykjavik, which was perfect for our travel plans. It's a great home base, so to speak, for daily excursions, and I highly recommend doing that. There's a large bar scene, there's a lot of eclectic art, people, events, restaurants. So after most of the day spent there, we decided to go out and see some Icelandic landscapes and did a very spontaneous trip. We decided to do a 45-minute drive to Reykjadalur hot springs. This hot spring is a 2-mile hike from the trailhead, and there's plenty of boiling rivers and scenery and geothermal pots along the way. We recommend bringing earplugs on this hike as the wind can sometimes be pretty intense. No matter what the weather might be, this is a great place to go. I recommend doing what we did, and that was bring a bottle of champagne to drink in hot springs. This place ended up being one of our favorite spots in Iceland, and I believe it's really underrated. Day 2. After our first night in Reykjavik, it was time for the famous Golden Circle of Iceland. This is one of the easiest places to access from Reykjavik, so we recommend driving this circle when you're staying there. The Golden Circle has 3 major sites and several smaller ones along the way. We stopped everywhere we could and did so in about 7 hours, and this was going at a very reasonable and comfortable pace. The Golden Circle doesn't require much physical activity because most of the sites are right off the road, and the 3 major sites are Thingvellir. This is a national park and a historical site. The park sits on a rift valley caused by the separation of 2 tectonic plates. It's also the site of Iceland's parliament from the 10th to 18th centuries. Next is Strokr. That was terrible. Strokr. Yeah, Strokr. Whatever it is. This is Iceland's most active geyser. This stop isn't just a lone geyser, it's a labyrinth of boiling water pots and steaming mineral deposits. The main geyser, Strokr, shoots up into the air about every 5 minutes. Next is Gullfoss. This is one of Iceland's most famous waterfalls and is even deemed as the most amazing on the island. To get here, it's just off of the Golden Circle, but it's very easy to navigate to due to all the roadway signs. This waterfall is a must-see in Iceland and is one of the top 10 in the world. As I said before, the Golden Circle Highway, there's so much to see. On the sides of the road, you'll see amazing landscapes and geology. There's lots and lots of Icelandic horses that are fun to interact with. Another popular place to stop is a giant crater lake, and as I mentioned before, we stopped several times to check it all out. Day 3. We did one last lap around the city and then headed off for the south coast. After a few hours of driving, we hit our first stop, which was SELJAVALLALAUG. This ended up being my favorite waterfall to visit. At this waterfall, you can stand behind it, on top of it, or even hike an extra half-mile to go to a secret hidden falls. After that, we went straight to Skógafoss. This is one of Iceland's most glorious waterfalls and is one of the largest in the world. You can actually hike a staircase all the way to the top of it and see where the water is coming from. It is a spectacular natural sight to see. After the waterfall, we went straight to the Solheimsendir plane crash. I think I pronounced that correctly. This is a World War II jet that crashed in 1973. Miraculously, everyone on the plane survived. What remains is just the crashed plane on the black sand beach. It's a very surreal landscape. This is a place that attracts a lot of photographers and videographers like myself. You've probably seen photos of it before. The trailhead for this hike is just a few kilometers from Skógafoss, and although the sign says it's about a 3 to 4 hour hike, this is not accurate by any means for most people. We ended up jogging it and did the whole trip to go out and see the plane and back in about an hour's time. The whole hike, just so you know, is just a flat, barren, black landscape, but it's very, very cool. If you've seen photos of it before, it might look like it's isolated in the middle of nowhere, but it's actually a pretty popular hike. After we went back to our car, we ended up going to I'm not going to try and pronounce that, geothermal pool. It's about a 10-minute drive from Skåfoss, and I think it's very overlooked by most travelers. It's a swimming pool built in 1923 that was meant to help locals learn how to swim, and now it's just open to the public for people to go and swim in. The walk to the pool is very gorgeous and short, and I definitely recommend going there if you can. And after this amazing day, we went here, which I'm not going to try and pronounce. We were blown away by how amazing and secluded this Airbnb was. If you're interested to know more about where we stayed, there's a link to my blog post below. And once we arrived, we just sat back, relaxed, and enjoyed the landscapes. Day 4. Jökulsárlón. This is a glacial lagoon that collects icebergs from one of Iceland's largest glaciers. And if you're interested to go on a boat tour where you can get really up close and personal to the icebergs, you can buy a ticket upon arrival. This was definitely a highlight, and it was the furthest we went away from Reykjavik. At this point, we had to turn around and go back towards Reykjavik to fly out to the airport, but this is where most people continued their journey to drive all the way around the island. And then, located right across from the glacial lagoon, is the famous Diamond Black Sand Beach. This beach is a natural spectacle. Icebergs from the glacial lagoon flow into the ocean and land on this black sand beach. The collisions against each other leave a crumb trail of solid, crystal clear ice along the volcanic beach. After we were done exploring this area, we decided to even do more with our day, and we found out about Svartafoss, which is a very short hike to a very unique waterfall. The walk is about 35 to 45 minutes and leads to a unique waterfall that is surrounded by dark lava columns. After that, we went back to our Airbnb and relaxed. Day 5. Our last day in Iceland, we really took it easy because we had such a jam-packed trip already, so therefore the theme of Day 5 was relaxation. Once we checked out of our Airbnb, we headed back to Reykjavik to go to the famous Blue Lagoon. Before we got there, we made a few stops. The next place we stopped was Vík and REYNISFJARA beach. Vík is a very popular small town on the south coast that I definitely recommend checking out, and on the black sand beach is where we made our first puffin sighting, and then finally we made it to the Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon is a geothermal luxury spa that every Iceland traveler should experience. It was the perfect way to unwind after our trip. We easily spent 5 hours there sitting, drinking, and relaxing in the warm pools. After relaxing there, I literally felt like I was floating. It's very social in the Blue Lagoon, it's fun to meet new travelers and friends. You definitely should budget more time here than you might think because 5 hours goes like that. In a future video, I'm going to be talking more about the Blue Lagoon and what it was actually like to go there. If you haven't already checked out my What to Know Before Going to Iceland post, it's available on my YouTube channel. Sadly, we eventually had to leave the Blue Lagoon and we checked into a hostel in Keflavik. We chose to stay in Keflavik because it's very close to the airport and we had to leave early morning the next day. And then just like that, our Iceland adventure was over. I hope this video helped you better understand Iceland and help you prepare for your trip there. Ultimately, I hope you better understand what you can do there in 5 days. Our experience was planned just the way we wanted it to be. By no means did we feel rushed at all during this trip, and it's totally doable. Next time I go to Iceland, I definitely want to go for 10 days because that'll allow me enough time to go all the way around the entire island. Thanks so much for checking out this video. I highly recommend checking out my Instagram, Twitter, and website to check out more travel posts and stay updated. If you like this video, I encourage you to subscribe. Thanks so much and have fun in Iceland.